10. His name is Beto Durant. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. Better now that you're here.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad.
Beto, now that you're here.
Yes, hey, we're all here. Brez, I missed you too, Brez.
How are the callers, Beto? How are they these days? A little more calm after game 2 than after game 1?
Let's just say game 1, the world is over.
Yeah.
Game 2, this is what we're supposed to do. We're right there. Championship, light up the parade. It is, the emotions are just all over the place, and I love it. It's playoff time.
It's a roller coaster. It's
crazy.
Our good friend Geeter is kind of like that.
Yes, and Geeter, when he's walking around crypto before the game, like he was at game 2, you talk about a man who was so nervous, and he sees big game and just namaste.
Yeah,
namaste. Once big game shows up. But Geeter's a ball of energy and a ball of nerves at the same time.
It's like when you show up here, we all namaste.
Yeah, we should.
We're calm, we're zen.
Big game's the Geeter
The exact
whisper.
opposite.
Yeah.
It's good to see the both of you. The Lakers did what they needed to do in game 2 against the Wolves, as our callers say. They evened up the series at 1. The Lakers held the Wolves to a season low 85 points. It was certainly a must-win situation as you look at the Western Conference bracket. The one thing to obviously keep an eye on, the Rockets and Warriors, they're also evened up at 1 apiece. The winner of the Lakers T-Wolves faces off against the winner in the next round of the Rockets Warriors. It was essentially a must-win. The Lakers treated it like one. Take a listen.
We were very physical tonight, as were they.
What do you think, adjustment-wise, what was something that you felt like worked for you guys as you held them to the low 80s in points?
Again, we were physical. I think, playoffs require a different level. And like I said pregame, it took us about 2.5 quarters in game 1 to get to that level of physicality. I think it's fair to say we won the game with our defense tonight, but our offense had a lot to do with that. Not allowing them to get out in transition, and when they did, as AR did late in the game, taking the charge, we were able to stop them from scoring, or in some cases stop them from even getting a quick shot up, and then they had to run half-court offense. So I just think as much as it was the defense tonight, our offense actually helped quite a bit with some of the transition stuff.
I mean, that's what it's going to take. They play hard as hell. We got to play hard as hell. They play with a lot of intensity. We got to match their intensity. So, I mean, it's going to be like this all series.
What are you starting to learn about Luka in a playoff context as a teammate as you guys grow in that way?
Nothing. I've watched it for 7 years, so nothing at all. Luka is Luka.
Last one for you. Key as you head now fly to Minnesota for game 3 and 4.
Hostile environment, but we got to come in with the same mindset as we had tonight. Understanding it's a playoff game, no possessions we can take off. We got to play with intensity, energy, and effort. If you're not dog-ass tired after this game, after any of these games, then you didn't give it all you had. So that's what it's about.
We did the same game plan. We didn't really change much. It was just the question of if we're going to be more physical or not, and I think we showed that. And we were there for 48 minutes. And we got big enough first quarter. I learned from the last game, and we just stick to it.
So with the win, the series is guaranteed to have a 5th game. So here's a look at the schedule for Lakers T-Wolves. Game 3 is Friday in Minnesota, as is game 4, which is on Sunday. Then they return back to LA, Crypto.com Arena on Wednesday for a game 5. If there is a 6 and 7, that schedule will be provided. Let's talk about game 2, the defense. Holding them to 85, we've talked a lot about it. It was a season low for them, not to mention they had scored at least 100 or more in 56 straight games going into game 2. Impressed is the word, maybe?
Very much so. I think the Lakers, the players, the coaches, the staffers, everyone down to the video guys, they got tired of hearing the aftermath of game 1, Beto. No physicality for the Lakers. They got out, they got punched in the mouth and didn't respond. It was national headlines. It was a local talk. And I think they said, you know what? Actually, we can be pretty physical. And they showed it. I mean, I don't know what I like better. Vando kind of getting back to being that little enforcer for the team, or AR kind of going at Naz Reid with that verbal exchange in the second quarter. I mean, the Lakers are basically saying, hey, we read all the headlines. We heard everything on these Sports Center shows and whatnot. We're not going to get punked. And they were the aggressors from the start in that game, too.
And the tone was set early on because Anthony Edwards had 0 assists. And Anthony Edwards, when they gave him the zone defense, He even said himself he looked a little bit confused because of what the Lakers were giving him. But back to your point, Brez, how physical they were. You saw people in the paint attacking. You saw them putting a body on somebody going for the offensive rebound. But also when Anthony Edwards would try to make a move, they had the help side defense that was coming in off the block to help them out, where Edwards wasn't able to just get by the first defender. Lakers actually had the help defense, they had the attitude, and they weren't going to get punked, like you said,
Right.
Brez. They fought back, which is what you should be doing. About
Yeah,
time.
it's playoffs. And JJ said it for the first game. Our guys acted like it was a regular season game. That was not the case in game 2.
Punked, which is exactly what Austin Reaves said happened to them, the Lakers, in game 1. How confident are you in the squad going into Minnesota now all tied up?
Well, they haven't been great there the last several years. 1-7 in their last 8 in the good city of Minneapolis, Mike Trudell's hometown. I like what I saw, though. I saw just enough that, okay, the Lakers are going to make this, a grind type of game, a grind type of series even perhaps. The Lakers don't want to score 94 in games 3 and 4. That's probably not the recipe for a win. Most nights in today's NBA in particular, Ali and Beto, I mean, you got to get to the hundreds, 110s to really make sure you can, sometimes 120s to really make sure you win these games. But I liked their energy. I liked how they responded. And that guy right there, Rui Hachimura, he got hit in the face. He disappeared for a little bit, came back, and I thought he was more aggressive in that second half.
What I'm concerned about going to Minnesota is the adjustments that the Minnesota coaching staff is going to make. Because Chris Finch and his squad do a great job knowing what they're going to have at home. Anthony Edwards is going to get the assist. You're going to have Naz Reid and McDaniels. They're going to knock down shots in game 3. They're going to be there for you. So if you're the Lakers, you want to get in there and you want to set a tone, but it's going to be very, very tough there. I wouldn't be surprised if they just come back split and we come back here 2-2.
Which is what they're supposed to do, at least. You got to win one on the road. Rui Hachimura might not have dominated in the box score, but in terms of impact, he was huge. 11 points, 5 boards, a couple of steals, and a block for Rui, who, Brez, as you just mentioned, also left the game early after getting hit in the face and had to wear a mask for the remainder of it. Here's J.J. Redick giving an update on Rui before the team took the flight to the Twin Cities.
He got just popped in the face, and I believe, he's going to wear a mask as a precaution for a little bit, but he's fine and will be available.
Yeah, JJ, obviously game 2 was all about just getting a win by any means necessary. But when you look at it and want to fine-tune things moving to game 3 in Minnesota, particularly in the offensive end, are there things that you point to that you're going to need to clean up to continue your success on the road?
Yeah, I think the tape kind of showed that the defense was as good as we thought it was live. Certainly can clean some things up. Obviously as you go through a series, you have to start questioning what adjustments you make on certain players. But the tape the tape showed that we weren't. Although we generate some good shots at times, we weren't very good offensively, and I thought we were more organized. But I think the biggest thing for us is we have to find ways to create a little bit more thrust and pace. That's probably the biggest thing, and we'll continue to fine tune that.
Brez just kind of touched on this, so Beto, I'll start with you. Rui doing just a little bit of everything despite the discomfort of obviously having to throw on that mask mid-game. Do you think he can maintain that sort of effort impact throughout this series?
He needs to.
Yeah,
it's not can he. It's very vital for Rui Hachimura to do that because Rui's not going to be the guy that you want to get 18 to 20 points. It's get some points, be in the paint, be disruptive, do that right there. Find the cut, find the extra pass, whatever it is you need to do to be effective for the Lakers. For Rui Hachimura, he's not going to be the most physical guy. He's not going to be the one in your face trying to fight you or anything like that. But be disruptive, be a guy who's a presence. He's 6'8", has good body size. Get into the face of somebody on the Wolves, get that block from behind, do something to just make Minnesota uncomfortable.
I blame that first mask, the clear one he put on.
Okay.
You're right. I mean, Rui's a big man. He needs like a large or an XL. Yeah. That was like a medium they gave him. I mean, he was kind of smashing his nose a little bit. He looked really uncomfortable with it. He ditched it for a while. Then he came back with the black mask, and the game was on after that. I mean,
that's a great analysis right there.
I also don't like. I don't care who you are, to have to throw on a mask mid-game in a playoff situation. Right. I don't care if you've worn it in the past or not. There is a level of adjusting, and especially when it has to come from a physical standpoint.
Because didn't you
I
see
don't care
the
if it's
first
clear
one?
or black.
His face was all smashed in.
I know.
The first vest that he had on.
He couldn't breathe in it. It really was too small.
Yeah, then you add that. Barely breathing.
I mean,
after you got popped in the nose.
And Jordan Goodwin probably gets first dibs. He always wears the mask. So Rui, gets the backup one. Eventually, they found one that was more to his liking. And he is used to this. Allie, you and I have talked about this early last season. Remember, he had the concussion, and then he had a nasal fracture. So he missed some time, had a little mask action. And I really like the way he responded. He's a key player on this team, Beto. I still go back to when they played Denver a couple years ago. And the Lakers didn't win it, but he had some moments against Jokic defensively where even the Laker coaching staff was like, oh, we can maybe play Rui on Jokic, the best player in the game, and get away with it sometimes. He needs to be that guy on offense and defense the rest of the series.
Speaking of someone you'd like to see respond here in Game 3, Jackson Hayes. 9 minutes, 5 fouls. We talked about it on the podcast, the Lake Show podcast, a guy who really wanted to have an impact and be a part of this series. Also talked about maybe being targeted a little bit from an official standpoint in terms of fouls. How important is Jackson for this series as it goes on?
He can be somebody who can become annoying. He could be the guy that's pushing Rudy from the back. He could be doing that, but he gets caught up doing stupid things that he gets caught into the... Right there. Get him up there, boom, he's going to fall for it. He's going to fall for everything that you have because that's just not being locked in, Brez. It's not because of his ability. It's just he gets caught up in the moment, and that's the lack of playoff experience that's going to hurt him because he should not have 5 fouls that quick.
The moving screens.
Okay, the 94 feet right there was not good, but the 1-2 possessions before just being physical, that's a little searching and reaching.
I understand him being frustrated. I mean, he's averaging 9 minutes a game in the series. That's not what he wants. And that's not what the Lakers want. And the problem is Gobert is actually averaging decent minutes in the series. If Rudy Gobert is being forced off the court because the Lakers are running circles around those guys, okay, you can live with Jackson Hayes not playing a lot. That's not the case. So Jackson, maybe more than any other Laker, needs to have a good Game 3 and 4.
Lakers scouting report, and deservedly so. Ant had 25 points, 6 boards in the loss. Julius had 27 points with 6 assists. But as we mentioned earlier in the show, just 85 points scored by the Wolves, which was a season low. Randall spoke about the lack of offense in the game.
Just think we were stagnant. We missed some good looks, some open layups. And then, Luka got off to another hot start. He got some early free throws. I think he had like 8 free throws early, so he got off to, a hot start. And, they were just kind of in a rhythm in that first quarter. They scored 94 points for the game, but they had 34 in the first quarter. So that means, after that, we held them to 20 a quarter, which is who we are. We just got to get off to a better start.
And what did you think of Julius tonight?
He was wonderful for us. Played his game, got to his spots, got to the free throw line, passed the ball, didn't turn it over tonight, so he did everything he was supposed to do. I don't know, it seemed like every time I caught the ball, they kind of went like in a zone, in a sense. So it's kind of confusing at times, but we'll watch film and be ready.
Do you like how you guys responded in the second half, kind of getting back into it?
Yeah, for sure. It was up, 20-something, and we fought back and got back in the game. I think what hurt was when we cut it to like 11 in the third, in the middle of the third, and then they went on like a 7-0 run. I think that's what hurt more than anything.
How do you just feel overall about the series going back 1-1?
Feel great. We 1-1. It's nothing better to be but 2-0, but we 1-1.
Let's talk a little Ant first. You kind of mentioned it, Beto, at the top of the show, him recognizing that he hadn't kind of seen the defensive coverage. 25 points, but he was just 2 points and no assists in the fourth. How impactful has that been?
That was huge. That's the reason why the Lakers won that game, because Anthony Edwards is going to get his points. He's going to get off, but you just let him get his stuff and make sure nobody else is involved, because there was no Nasri, no McDaniels knocking down shots. You had a game where he didn't look like the Anthony Edwards that everybody, he should be the future. No, he looked like a good basketball player, but he never looked comfortable. He never looked like he got into a rhythm, and the Lakers were on him. Early on in the game, you had the double teams. You had LeBron on him early on. And every time he would move around, especially in that first quarter, there was somebody bumping into him. He just never was able to get into his zone.
Yeah, the confusion was pretty evident. He's probably like, what is this? We just beat this team by 22 points a few days earlier, and he just couldn't, he wasn't himself. In that fourth quarter, Ant show was nothing. I mean, that was shocking to me. The thing I noticed about him post-game, we just saw some of his quotes, he didn't seem real rattled. He was kind of like, yeah, that was weird. he was kind of chuckling a little bit. The guy really makes me laugh whenever I watch him interviewed. But he didn't seem real concerned or real disturbed or anything like that. And I have a feeling that they're going to go to work on how to try to fix that for Game 3 in Minnesota.
I was actually just going to say that. You would imagine that there's still a performance or two in Anthony Edwards that the Lakers have to be ready for.
Yeah, we're going to get the Anthony Edwards. You're like, oh, man, he's on the verge of a triple-double. Yeah. And he has this aura about himself where he's just so relaxed. Before Game 2, Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards, they have their own speaker that they bring out. This is like maybe 2 hours before anybody's allowed in the building. So instead of, having the music in the arena, they have their own speaker, like the Backyard Boogie, right? And they're playing like whatever songs that they want, and they're doing whatever they want to do, and everybody's around Edwards, and he's just knocking down shots like no other, taking his half-court shots. This Minnesota team, Perez and Ali, they look like they're comfortable. They don't look like they're bothered, and their reactions after the game, after the series gets tied, all right, cool, we're going back to Minnesota, but they don't look like they're phased.
We'll see if they're chuckling after Game 3. That's the key. Minnesota favored by 3.5. Yep. And the Lakers are still slight favorites now in the series. They took it back from Minnesota after winning Game 2. And Beto, I just want to see how the Lakers come out. I think the first quarter is so important in a city that has given you some problems. You've not played well there in years. You really have to say, look, we've got the vets. We've got LeBron. We've got Luka. And we need to, if you're Lakers players, we really need to show this franchise, we need to tamp these guys down and show them that Game 1 was a fluke, Allie.
You heard Bron say what we saw, the griminess, the grind it out in Game 2 is what they're going to need the rest of the series. Still to come, the Lakers with that. All you lip readers, get after it. Lakers immediately responded to JJ's message, going on a 9-0 run immediately after he called that timeout. So message received. Here's JJ on that moment.
Not frustration, just coaching. I think when we were organized in the right spots, we ran some good stuff, and frankly, I thought we missed some open threes. AR got some great looks. So I mean, other than just a couple kind of disorganized plays, we played good offense tonight, and there was you as a coach, you can see it coming when the other side of that is on the horizon, and it was building, and just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page. Yeah, I mean, I've done that in a game a handful of times in 6 preseason games, 82 regular season. It was at 90 games. I've done it a handful of times. It's not something that I want to do. It's something I'm more than comfortable doing. But I think tonight it was just more about getting that urgency button switched back on.
We know JJ is going to spaz out from time to time. That's JJ, and so it's at this point for us is obviously we need to listen to the message and not the way how he's delivered it. And for me, as my high school coach my freshman year was kind of the same way. He would spaz out on us, and you have to be able to understand about it's not how he's saying it, it's about what he's saying. And I thought we responded after that.
Well, you were asking what he was animated about?
What was he animated about? What was the message in the huddle?
Play better. Yeah, I don't know if y'all have talked to him. If he wants to say what he said, he can. Just say he wasn't happy, and we responded well.
It's kind of like your callers post-game, right? After Game 1.
Same language. Same language.
Look, the team responded. 9-0. I don't care what you say. Obviously, the message was received.
Allie, I wasn't sure who he was mad at. Like, is he yelling at the refs? Big Game James was sitting under that basket. Is he mad at James about something? I had no idea what was going on. And then you realize, okay, it's the team. And obviously something needed to be done. Reminded me a little bit of Phil Jackson, Beto. I know you covered him back in the day as well. Phil would get on guys when they're not playing well. Not quite that emphatic.
Yeah, I was wondering where you're going with that, because Phil said that a lot.
More in the huddle.
Oh, yeah.
After calling a timeout, when he did call timeouts.
Yep.
Sometimes he'd let the team just sink until they could figure it out themselves. But I've been so impressed by JJ all year long, and this is adding to his resume. His timeout, his fiery reaction before that timeout really, I think, changed the tenor of that game.
And they needed him at that moment. But tell me he didn't look like an AAU coach on a Saturday morning.
Coaching his fourth graders?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Just like going off. And you're like, what's he yelling at? Because we didn't quite know what he was yelling about if you're watching the game up close. But then later on, you find that out. But you can only do that every blue moon. You can't go to that well that often because then you're going to get looked at like, what are you doing here? But he knew what button to push with the team at that moment. I like his answer, like, oh, I'm just coaching. Just coaching. Yeah, I'm just coaching.
I wasn't frustrated.
No. But he let him have it. It's like the scene in Bull Durham when he throw him in the shower, he just throws the bats and yells at him. That's what he was doing.
You shouldn't be surprised by this. He literally threw out a 10-year-old of a practice. I'm pretty sure there is that.
Well, you should